Ukraine sits atop a gold mine, though not in the traditional sense. Beneath its war-torn landscape lie vast reserves of rare earth minerals. These elements are essential for modern technology, powering everything from smartphones to fighter jets. The United States, acutely aware of this strategic value, has been engaging in high-stakes negotiations with Ukraine, hoping to secure access to this critical resource. The proposed deal, shrouded in controversy, has sent ripples across the global stage. At its heart lies a simple question: will Ukraine's underground riches become a lifeline for its struggling economy or a bargaining chip in a larger geopolitical game? The outcome of these negotiations will have far-reaching consequences. It has the potential to reshape alliances, ignite economic rivalries, and determine the technological trajectory of nations. The world watches with bated breath as Ukraine, caught between its own needs and the pressures of global powers, grapples with a decision of immense significance. The initial proposal put forth by the United States was nothing short of staggering: a potential $500 billion in profits, a figure designed to grab headlines and capture the imagination. This financial windfall, the U.S. argued, would be a lifeline for Ukraine, helping to rebuild its shattered infrastructure and revitalize its war-torn economy. However, this offer of assistance came with strings attached, strings that many in Ukraine found difficult to swallow. The U.S. sought a controlling stake in Ukraine's mineral wealth, a level of influence that raised concerns about sovereignty and independence. The proposed deal was presented against a backdrop of ongoing U.S. military aid to Ukraine. This aid, while crucial for Ukraine's defense against Russian aggression, also served as leverage for the U.S. in the negotiations. The message was clear: America was willing to help, but at a price. The negotiations between the United States and Ukraine have been anything but smooth sailing. The initial $500 billion offer, while enticing, was quickly met with skepticism from Ukrainian officials. The terms, they argued, were simply too one-sided, demanding too much from Ukraine in exchange for uncertain benefits. Central to Ukraine's concerns was the issue of control. The U.S. sought not only access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals, but also significant influence over how those resources were extracted, processed, and ultimately utilized. This demand struck at the heart of Ukraine's desire for self-determination, raising fears that the country would become overly reliant on the United States. Adding to the tension was the lack of clear security guarantees from the U.S. While American military aid continued to flow, Ukraine sought a more concrete commitment, a guarantee that the U.S. would stand by its side should the conflict with Russia escalate. The stalemate in the negotiations reflects the deep mistrust that exists between the two nations. Section 4. Turning Inward: America's Domestic Mineral Push. Frustrated by the lack of progress in negotiations with Ukraine, the Trump administration has signaled a shift in strategy. Rather than relying on foreign sources for critical minerals, the United States is now prioritizing domestic production. This inward turn is driven by a desire for greater self-sufficiency and a belief that America must reduce its dependence on potentially unreliable partners. The move to boost domestic mineral production has been met with mixed reactions. Proponents argue that it will create jobs, stimulate economic growth, and strengthen national security. They point to the vulnerability of global supply chains, arguing that the United States must secure its own access to these vital resources. However, critics warn of the environmental consequences of increased mining activity. They argue that the rush to extract minerals could have devastating impacts on fragile ecosystems and exacerbate the already pressing issue of climate change. The debate over domestic mineral production highlights the complex trade-offs involved in securing critical resources. Section 5. Shifting Sands: China and Russia sense an opportunity. The stalemate in U.S.-Ukraine negotiations has not gone unnoticed on the world stage. China and Russia, both major players in the rare earth minerals market, are closely watching the developments, sensing an opportunity to advance their own interests. China, in particular, has emerged as a dominant force in the rare earth industry, controlling a significant portion of global production and processing capacity. The prospect of the United States securing a major new source of these minerals is seen as a direct challenge to China's dominance. Russia, too, has a vested interest in the outcome of the negotiations. As Ukraine's neighbor and a major energy supplier to Europe, Russia is wary of any deal that would strengthen Ukraine's ties to the West. The Kremlin views the U.S. overtures with suspicion, seeing them as part of a broader effort to contain Russian influence. The U.S.-Ukraine standoff has created a vacuum that China and Russia are eager to fill. Section 6. A Tariff Tightrope, Trump's Transatlantic Balancing Act. The Trump administration's aggressive trade policies have further complicated the geopolitical landscape. In an effort to pressure the European Union to increase defense spending and reduce its reliance on Russian energy, the United States has imposed a series of tariffs on European goods. These tariffs, while intended to bolster American interests, have created tensions with key allies and introduced an element of uncertainty into transatlantic relations. The EU, caught in the crossfire of US-China trade disputes, is facing pressure to choose sides. However, in a move that has raised eyebrows, Trump has hinted at the possibility of exempting the United Kingdom from the tariffs. This gesture, widely seen as an attempt to strengthen ties with a post-Brexit Britain, further underscores the transactional nature of Trump's foreign policy. The tariff dispute highlights the delicate balancing act facing the United States as it seeks to advance its interests without alienating its allies. Section 7. A World in Flux, Navigating the Uncertain Future. The ongoing saga of the Trump-Zelensky minerals deal offers a glimpse into a world in flux, a world where traditional alliances are being tested and new power dynamics are emerging. The outcome of this high-stakes drama will have far-reaching consequences, not only for Ukraine, but for the broader international community. For Ukraine, the stakes are particularly high. The country is caught between its desire for Western integration and its need to maintain a workable relationship with Russia. The minerals deal, if finalized, could provide a much-needed economic boost but also risks deepening Ukraine's dependence on the United States. The global implications are equally profound. The U.S. pursuit of Ukraine's rare earth minerals is part of a larger struggle for technological dominance, a struggle that is reshaping the global order. China's rise as a technological powerhouse has challenged American supremacy, forcing the United States to seek new ways to secure its access to critical resources. The world is watching, holding its breath as this geopolitical drama unfolds.